still logging on, so we'll give them a chance. So we'll start in about 2 minutes. But thank you all for being with us this afternoon. We look forward to hearing what Angela has to say about Sunday school ministry. Of course, if I'm talking, it helps if I unmute my microphone. So we'll get ready. We're going to roll in just about a minute. We've got some other folks logging on yet, so we'll get them online, and then we will get started. All right, I think we're ready to go. It's great to have all of you with us this afternoon as we are gathered together for our webinar on teaching the faith Sunday school and looking at Sunday school ministry and children's ministry. And it's so good. This series of teaching the faith that we've done in our webinars has been a great way to kind of look at all the different aspects of ministry as we might teach the faith through the years. And Sunday school so often is problematic, and we get lots of questions and requests for information and resources on Sunday school. So we're very pleased to have Angela Kollbaum, whom I know quite well, with us today as our presenter on Sunday school ministry. And say I got a little error message there, but we're all right now, and we're glad to have her with. Angela has her master's in family life ministry. She's spent a lot of years teaching Sunday school. I don't know, we didn't even count up how many years you and I maybe even together have taught Sunday school, but Angela has taught a lot of Sunday school everywhere from little kids to high school, and is the director of our youth group here at St. Paul's in Concordia, Missouri. And so we're glad to have her with us today. And before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping things. If you have any questions during our webinar, please, there is a chat feature down in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. Type your questions there, and then at the end of the webinar, I will have a little Q&A session with your questions with Angela. And if at any point during this time today that you have that question, just type it in there and I'll keep track of them, and we'll ask them all at the end. And so without further ado, we'll begin with a word of prayer. Gracious Lord, we give you thanks that in so many ways we get an opportunity to teach the faith. Especially you have given us the joy to teach it in Sunday school to young people and old alike. Lord, we pray that you would guide and direct our time today as we talk about Sunday school ministry, and that it would be fruitful in the work that we do in our various congregations and settings. Lord, we pray your blessing on this time and the work that you have given us to do. In Christ we pray. Amen. Angela, take it away.
Okay. As Todd said, I have taught a Sunday school for several years. I think it's probably 15 plus years. I've done high school, I've done first grade, sixth grade, sometimes third grade, just depending on where the need was. Um, and Sunday school is one of those things that is a blessing to our communities and to our church, but it also tends to be an issue of a lot of stress for some people. So today we're just going to talk a little bit about what we can do with Sunday school ministry. Lately, I've heard a lot of comments about how it's frustrating because of numbers. It's frustrating because you don't know from week to week how many you will have in preparation. How do you get volunteers? So we're just going to kind of scratch the surface. I am by no means an expert on Sunday school. However, and I don't know that there's a magic genie anywhere that we can just go to solve all of our problems. But I think if there is a desire to serve and a desire to teach our little ones, I think that's half the battle right there. Okay, so I'm getting some feedback here. I don't know where that's coming from. Amy and Todd, like, I don't know if somebody's not muted because I hear stuff moving. But anyway, the when and the why. Well, just a little history on Sunday school. Sunday school began in Britain in the 1780s, and it was originally a way to teach poor children how to read. So they would use the Bible, they would write down Bible passages, because back then the children would work all week, and Sunday was the only day of rest. So there was a gentleman who decided that he would try to educate these children since they couldn't go to school. And this was a way for them to learn to read. In the mid-19th century, Sunday school became a regular part of childhood, and it was something that a lot of families in moved to the United States, and the church families would use that as an opportunity to learn about faith. It was also a way to sharpen skills in reading, and it was also a big opportunity for fellowship. The curriculum that was used most often back during that time was Bible, catechisms, and hymnals. So it was pretty simple. We sometimes try to make it a little bit more complicated today by worrying about fancy curriculum, but as we all know, in rural congregations, we don't always have the resources financially or otherwise that can provide for big, huge curriculum and fancy Sunday school ministries. So it started out simply. I think we can still do it very simply. I think as long as we have the word, that's all we really need. So that's just a little history on the when and the why Sunday school was and it continues to be so important. Rituals are something that I think is important in everything that we do in the church. I think people look forward to those. If you talk to somebody who was who's our older members in our congregation, they will talk about things that they enjoyed when they were kids, and they were usually ritual type things that were every year you could look forward to. And I've just outlined a little bit on the PowerPoint. You know, rituals can be big and they can be small. I think the most important ones are consistency week to week. It's important to have some kind of an opening every week for your Sunday school program that kind of sets the tone for the day. That opening, it can look a lot of different ways. Some teachers do it in their individual classrooms in your bigger Sunday school programs. In our Sunday school program here at St. Paul's, we have all of the kids in pre-K through, I think it's 5th grade or 6th grade. We get together in the preschool room, and Miss Betty, she's taught Sunday school a long time and is very good. She sits with the kids and she kind of sets the tone for what the Bible account will be for that week. She prepares some kind of a song or a prayer, or sometimes it's some kind of like a fun finger play that she can do with the kids, and the older kids help the younger kids to set the stage for what the story Bible account will be for that week. We meet in one room. It's usually 10-15 minutes. This was out of necessity that they had to come up with this because we have an 8 o'clock service and a 10:30 service. Teachers that went to the 8 o'clock service couldn't get there if there's communion by 9:15. So it was kind of a way of filling that gap, but it also serves to provide some regularity and some consistency, some organization to what we do on a week-to-week basis. The kids know they go to the preschool room to start, and they know that they'll get to spend a little time with Miss Betty. The Sunday school teachers know that they pick up their kids from Miss Betty when they get there, and then they take them to their classrooms. It's also a good way to know whether or not what's your makeup going to be for that week, because as many of us know, I can have one kid in my Sunday school class, or I can have 10 in my Sunday school class. It depends on whether the kids are singing, whether the kids are singing at a different church, whether there's something going on in the community, or if it's a holiday weekend. Our attendance fluctuates a lot. So by having an opening, you can kind of look at what you have for resources, what you have for how many kids are going to be there, what the age groups are, and sometimes you will even take and move older kids to help with some of the younger kids. So weekly openings are very important. It's also a chance to do, now we don't do it at ours, but where we were previously, we would do our offering during that time. We would recognize birthdays, baptismal birthdays during that opening, and celebrate that with the kids. And the kids would think that was really neat. One of the congregations when my husband was at seminary, the teacher had a little birthday cake bank, and the kids would be encouraged to bring in money to put in the birthday cake bank on their birthday. And then that was a way that they felt special to get to put money into that. And then that money went to missions. Just finding little ways to connect with the kids. Rally Day. A lot of congregations do a rally day in the fall. That's when the kids move from first grade to second grade, or the next grade that they are, it's their promotional weekend. A lot of churches do that in a lot of different ways. Picnics, festivals. The regional ministry that we were involved in, they would do pool their resources, and for rally day they would have bouncy houses and a picnic, balloon lift. Anymore because of our environment, but we did balloons and put little gospel messages in each of the balloons, and then let them go, and wherever they landed, it invited them to come to Sunday school or to church or VBS. So rally day is a good way to kind of kick off the year and get the kids excited about Sunday school, get the parents excited about Sunday school, bring in some of the people who are maybe new to your community that moved in the summer, so that they can know what's happening. Where is Sunday school? Where do I take my kids for Sunday school? Christmas program and Easter program. Those are two big ones too, that you can really include your Sunday school kids. If you have a day school, it's a way to bridge the gap between the kids who go to the Lutheran school and the kids who are in the public school. They can come together to do a Christmas program or an Easter program. If you have a particularly small church and you're saying, yeah, we've got 5 kids, how do you do a Easter program or a Christmas program? Look at the other churches in your area that are LCMS congregation and see if you can do something together. Maybe one year you do the Christmas program at one church, and then you do the Easter program at another church. And it doesn't necessarily have to be on Christmas Day or whatever the historical day is for it, but you could have them do the actual program at one or the other, and then maybe on Christmas Eve have the few kids sing or do something in the service that's from the program. You have to be a little creative with things. Family and church picnic, something that they can look forward to at the end of the Sunday school year. In May and June, get the families together where they can join and celebrate and and have an opportunity for fellowship. We are so busy today in our world that we are always running, and we fail to have the opportunity to just sit in fellowship with one another. And Sunday school is a way that we can bring families in that might not necessarily be involved in other things because they've got little children. They might not be elders. They might not have the time to serve on committees. But this is a way we can connect with them through family-oriented ministry opportunities in the Sunday school, through fellowship opportunities like a church picnic or a family, where it's a little bit more casual. It doesn't have to be anything really big. It's a matter of roasting some hot dogs and getting together and spending some time. I talked a little bit about celebration of birthdays and baptismal birthdays, confirmations, graduations, births of siblings, whatever you can celebrate in the Sunday school, do it. Figure out a way to make it a part, because those rituals are what are important. I remember my kids being so excited about those opportunities. My son, who is now 22 years old, when he turned, I think it was 7, he was so excited about getting to go to Sunday school, and the fact that Mrs. Robinson was going to pull him up and he was going to get to put money in the birthday cake at Sunday school. And he was so shy, but that was something he really looked forward to. So finding something that the kids get excited about so that they'll want to come, because they are the driving force. If they are saying to mom and dad, I want to go, I want to go, I want to go, hopefully that will compel mom and dad to bring them. Cradle roll, that's done so differently at every church. It's a culture of the congregation type thing, but that's an opportunity for some intergenerational ministry opportunities, where maybe the ladies group does the cradle roll and does something in conjunction with Sunday school, or the family ministry group, that they can get together and celebrate that this child now is old enough they can go to Sunday school, and make a big deal about that. And maybe even when baby is born, the Sunday school sends something out about starting education early in the home, baby's first Bible or something along that lines, to start that continuum of education from birth to older adult, just so that we always are doing something and intentionally finding ways to reach these young families. Maybe it's an opportunity through the cradle roll to get the new parents together for a fellowship event where you sit and talk about, Sunday school, Bible study, those type of things, and how do you incorporate that into the home? A lot of different opportunities in that. Involve your Sunday school kids in the church service. They could sing, maybe they play the piano or play a specific instrument. Maybe pastor would let them do a reading. Maybe they could have a Sunday that is Sunday school Sunday, that they can take the offering, or they can be the greeters at the church, or other ways that they can serve in the church. Maybe they provide something fun at the adult Bible class, something along that lines that connects the generations, because we want to prevent Sunday school being yet one more silo ministry in our churches, where that's for the young people, this is for the middle-aged people, and this is for the older people. We want to bring us together as a body of Christ, all as one, and finding ways to bridge that generational gap so that we have a connection that will go through the years. Because in some of the readings that I did in preparing for this, one person said, and I don't recall who it was, about how these young people that we're training in Sunday school could very well be our Sunday school teachers in another 20 years. And they could very well be our elders, and they could very well be the president of our congregation. So how do we get them involved and excited about it? And a lot of times kids love to serve. Find ways to incorporate them into the service. One of the examples I put is, and there's a little discussion over how you pronounce it, if it's Rogate or Rogate, I'm not real sure. Sunday, we're a rural community, and our parish ed team did an excellent job of trying to incorporate our culture of our community into our Sunday school. Last Sunday, they did Rogate Sunday, And it was for the Sunday school kids and the members of the congregation to come together. The kids planted seeds. They had different activities related to agriculture in our community. They had tractors that the kids could sit on. They had corn bins you can see in the picture where the kids could play with the corn. It was an opportunity for the kids to understand what it means to live in an agricultural community. And it was also a chance for us to offer prayers of thanksgiving to God for the blessings of what agriculture does in our community. I'm not sure what the origin of this is, but it was pretty awesome that our parish ed team put this together for the kids, and we're able to bring, if you can look at the one picture, you can see there is the people at the front of the church are out, and it brought in people old and young alike. And I think that's pretty awesome. So find things that are cultural. If you have a German community, what's some German festivals that you can do that you can incorporate the old and the young through the Sunday school? This was done during Sunday school hour. So it was the whole church body came together to celebrate this. So just be creative, come up with different ideas. This is an issue for me in youth group stuff as well as in Sunday school. Numbers do not equal success. The value of what you're doing is not based on how big of a class you have. You can't look and say, oh, it was great, we had 35 kids. Well, you know what? In rural America, that's not going to be the case. What you need to look at and remember Matthew 18:20, for where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am among them. If you have 1 or 2 kids, don't be discouraged. Don't think, oh, there's no way we can do this. Look at those as opportunities to build solid, strong relationships with those kids who are in Sunday school. Really dig deep into whatever the Bible account is for that week and find ways to apply it to their everyday life. You know, an example would be with Esther, and say the topic is Esther, and you're talking about the account of what she went through and how she didn't feel worthy, and God chose her to be the one. How does that work in today's life for kids? How does God place certain children, certain adults in places that maybe they didn't think that's what they were called to do, but God is equipping them and God uses them for that purpose? I was being kind of funny, but less behavior management. When you have 2 or 3 kids, you don't have to worry about keeping everybody on task. You don't have to worry about corralling. You can actually sit and do the lesson. It also allows for more creativity. I mean, the amount of things you can do in an hour of Sunday school with 3 or 4 kids is a little bit better than if you're trying to do that same craft or that same activity with 20 kids. So I'm not saying that we don't want numbers, because we want to get as many kids in Sunday school as we possibly can, because we want to bring them Jesus and the gospel. But what I'm saying is, don't be discouraged if you only have 2 or 3 show up, or if you only have 1 this week and 5 next week, because you can't be discouraged. Take and love them when you got them, and do everything you can to give them everything that they need during that time. When I taught high school Sunday school, this was very frustrating, because it seemed like once they were able to drive, you would lose them. And I got to the point where I had an older gentleman in the church who just looked at me and said, you know, that's just the way of high school. Because I'd have kids that would say, you know, I have to work on Sunday, Angie, I can't make it. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll pray for you anyway. And we did. And trying to find ways to continue that connection, but understand that I couldn't not have Sunday school because I only had 2. I needed to continue, and I needed to provide the gospel and the law for those kids who showed up, and feed them when they were there. And I think we need to stay focused on what our purpose is rather than what the world's success is, because we're told on so many levels, well, it's only a success if you have large numbers. And I honestly believe that some of my most successful Sunday school classes have been done with 2 or 3 kids, and being able to actually have a real conversation and really talk about what's going on. So don't get discouraged. Be creative. Provide opportunities for the older students. If you have a situation where you have, I just talked to somebody last week who said he had 2 kids show up for Sunday school, and one was a 3-year-old, and one was a 4th grader or 3rd grader, something like that. He says, "How do you do that?" And I said, "Well, you make the best of it, and you figure out a way to have that 4th grader help with the 3-year-old, and have some mentoring that's automatically starting. And, that's going to translate well into the later years if you can build those relationships. Sometimes you'll only get sibling groups. That's okay. But provide opportunities for the older kids to mentor the younger ones. Now, when I say that, I don't mean take your high school students and have them teach your Sunday school classes. I think that they can be a really good helper sometimes, but I think we really need to be feeding our high school kids more than probably anybody else in Sunday school in any way that we can, um, because they need it too, especially the world they're living in. But that's a whole nother issue. Find ways to present the lesson in different ways. In our 6th grade Sunday school class, I had them take the Bible lesson for the day, and I told them to find different ways to act it out for the group, because it was a lesson they'd heard several times, especially when you have a lot of kids that go to day school or Lutheran school. They'll say, "Well, we've heard the story of Moses so many times, or we've heard the account of how um, Jesus came into Jerusalem." So we found different ways to present it. They can do a radio broadcast. In the picture here, the kids were doing a skit of the Jesus and the Samaritans. We had a group that pantomimed, and we had to guess what they were trying to act out. They chose a different Bible account, and they just acted it out, and we had to try to figure out what it was they were doing. Live broadcast with eyewitnesses. Sometimes you've got that kid in your Sunday school class who gets excited about talking in front of everybody. Have them read it as though they were there and reporting to a radio station or a TV station. Have them put it in, what would a social media post look like? Now, I think you need to keep it appropriate, but you can come up with, what would creative Twitter be for the day that Jesus, what would Mary have put out on Twitter the morning that she went and the tomb was empty? Coming up with ways that kind of relates to what they're doing without watering down the gospel and without being inappropriate, but ways that, how would that look today in our world if those things were happening? And then maybe once you prepare it, ask some of the other teachers, could our 5th and 6th grade group come, and can we present this little skit we put together of our story of the Synod? And what can we present? And then that way, it also gives that 1st and 2nd grade teacher maybe a little bit of a break, and you're bringing them together in different ways. Incorporate acts of service. I think that in the grand scheme of things, there are very few that enjoy serving as much as young people do. Kids in school love doing things for other kids. I don't know. It tells me that there is hope for our future, and that we have that in us, in our hearts. And I think that finding ways that they can do something for other people, and it also, in a society that's me, and it's only about me, and I'm the only important one, find ways that you can draw them outside of themselves and start reaching out to others in our church community, in our community, and even across the world. Some of the ideas: write letters or draw pictures to those who are serving in our country, write letters for shut-ins, nursing home residents. At a junior high retreat, we did tray cards that we just put Bible passages on it. And then the kids, they're so artistic and they love to do stuff like that. The boys not so much, but the girls do. And they can color and do that. And then you give them to the nursing home. And then when they deliver trays to people who can't leave their room, for dinner, they've got something to brighten up their meal. You could have them plant flowers at the church, and the Sunday school students can be responsible for that garden. And it doesn't have to be huge. It could be 2 pots in front of the at the front of the church, or they can water it, they can weed it. If there's a little patch somewhere at our church, we have in front of our parish office, just, I don't know, it's probably 6 by 8 that they plant flowers in, and just tending to that and having that be something that the kids can take pride in and say, hey, we're doing something to make our community and our church family home more beautiful. Write letters of appreciation to pastors, teachers, parents, anybody that's in their circle, maybe an aunt, an uncle, grandparent. Bake cookies and take them to the local fire or police station. This is something that if you have a really small Sunday school group, if you can meet in the church kitchen, you could just do those tubes of cookies and cut them up and put them on trays, and the kids can feel. Or if you want to be really ambitious, you can mix the whole thing together, whatever you would prefer to do in your comfort level. Talk to the area nursing home about ways that you can serve. Something that our high school youth will be doing is, and as a part of our Sunday school, is on Sundays, the nursing home does a nursing home service during the Sunday school hour, and they have a problem with getting all of the residents out to the service because a lot of them are wheelchair bound. So they've been asking for people to come and push wheelchairs. So once a month, the high school Sunday school class is going to worship at the nursing home, and they're going to push wheelchairs out. And that's going to be a part of our service to our community and to honor those who are, in a situation where they enjoy seeing the kids, they enjoy being around the kids, and we still get to worship with them, because sometimes it's a pretty much an older generation that's at the nursing home, obviously. So having more of an intergenerational worship time. Also seasonal crafts, things that they can do throughout the year for Christmas, for Easter, fall, 4th of July, Memorial Day weekend, Labor Day weekend. Just trying to be creative with looking for things that they can do. Another thing I didn't put on there is, getting involved with banner making and things like that that are part of the worship experience. Okay, so I love Sunday school, but how do I get other people excited about it? Well, we'll start with the teachers. Organization. I think I don't know what many of you are, if you are teachers, if you're superintendents, if you are the person who just got lucky enough to have to try to get things organized for Sunday school. But I think the most important thing is organization, so that you have something, because along with the rituals, people need to know that Sunday school will be the same time where their kids are supposed to be. A lot of times parents get very frustrated or embarrassed if, when they get to the Sunday school hour, they're bringing their little ones and they can't figure out how to get to their class. Where are the classes? Are they labeled so they know where Sunday school is? Every church is different. Our church uses our school building. So I'm not real sure how we let people know where it is, but we do have a office that the superintendent sits in, and they will direct people. They're kind of like the welcome to make sure that people get to where they need to go. Resources. Make sure that you have resources for your teachers. Make sure that they don't get to Sunday school and they don't have crayons, they don't have scissors, they don't have the curriculum, they don't know what's going on. Teachers, you're going to keep teachers for longer if they feel like they are prepared for Sunday school. Nobody likes to jump into something and feel totally unprepared, and, well, at least I don't anyway. Maybe some people do, but I would say for the most part, people who you're going to want teaching Sunday school are going to be people who want to have the resources and supplies available to them. You want people the leadership, from the superintendent, pastor, all the way down to the teachers in the classroom. You're going to need to have a strong leadership that knows what's going on, knows what needs to be done, and also provides the support to the teachers. Teachers are going to need Sundays where they have to be at grandma's 90th birthday and have some kind of a system in place that they don't have to feel like, well, I can't go to this family event because I have to be here because I'm teaching Sunday school. Now, we want them to take the teaching Sunday school seriously and be consistent, but we also want them to know that when things come up in their own life, we can work with that and be flexible. Training is really important. A lot of people will say, oh, I don't want to teach because I don't think I could do it. I can't handle that age group. I don't want to have to, I don't know that I know my Bible that well. Training is really important. And I would refer you to Mark Blanke's webinar. It's in the RSTM archive. He does a great job of lining out how you train your teachers so they feel equipped and they're able to serve. You're going to get much more out of somebody who feels that they're capable of doing it than if they feel like they've just been shoved into a position because you're filling a seat and we can have you babysit these kids for an hour. If they feel like they're able to actually contribute and be a valuable part of a Sunday school staff, they are going to do a much better job and they're going to stay longer. Appreciation. I think that is so important. We need to make sure that teachers are appreciated for the time that they put in. You have teachers that will establish and get their schedule for their class. They will get creative. They'll come up with a lot of cool stuff, finding ways to show, I'm thankful that you're teaching this class. And some of this goes to the parents too, getting parents to be appreciative of the fact that their kids are learning about the Bible and about Jesus from people who are very excited about what they're doing. But I think it also needs to come from the pastor, from the Sunday school superintendent or supervisor, whatever you call it in your congregation. But finding ways to show appreciation. And I'm not talking like $50 gift certificates stuff. I'm talking about just notes saying, thank you for serving, or ways, every opportunity you get, showing that you appreciate what they're doing for the youngest in our congregation. Feeding the teachers spiritually. This is something that I have heard numerous times why people will not teach Sunday school. I need to be fed spiritually, and that's Bible study hour, and I need to be able to go to Bible study for adult Sunday school class. So find ways to feed the teachers spiritually. And that doesn't mean, I think the tendency in the past in Sunday schools has been to do a monthly or a quarterly teacher meeting where you go over, this is what the curriculum is. And those are important things. Maybe incorporate a Bible study that maybe addresses some of those things. One of the books that I read, this children's ministry, and it's on the last page of the resources of this slideshow, they talk about, providing your Sunday school teachers with some sort of devotional material for their personal time. That maybe when they say that they're willing to serve as a Sunday school teacher, provide them with some kind of a devotional, some kind of a daily devotional that they can have. And it's got some ideas in there for how you can, what types of materials you can use, but make sure that your Sunday school teachers are being fed spiritually as well, because they need the gospel. They need to have that spiritual uplifting and that time in the Word. Because when you are, if any of you are Sunday school teachers, when you're preparing a lesson, there's a little bit of that, but there's not enough of the good, juicy meat and potatoes really getting in there and doing the study. It's more of, you're thinking about prep and, okay, how can I make this creative, and what can I do for this, and what can I do for that? And it's a different thought process. So make sure that you're feeding your teachers and giving them time to study in the Word, and every chance that you get. Recruitment. Pray, stop, pray, look, pray, listen, pray, speak. I think pray is the biggest part. God will give you the leaders that you need. God will give you the teachers. On page 73 of the book, of the Children's Ministry Facts, they do a fabulous job of talking about what to do. I'll just read it to you, but if you can't, this is available on CPH, and it's a great carefully reflect on priorities and goals of the children's ministry or the Sunday school. What is your goal? Talk with the pastor, see if there's anybody that we're missing as far as, hey, this lady taught for years and, she's kind of maybe if we go to her personally and say, would you be interested in teaching, first and second Sunday school? See what she says. But looking and prayerfully thinking about those people in your church and in the pews that could serve as a Sunday school teacher. Look, candidates who are already students of the Word in Bible class and are regular in worship. Look for those people that are regular attenders. They're there. They are seeking out opportunities to be in the Word. So they're probably the people you really want teaching our young people. People who show a love of Jesus and a excitement about studying the Word. And also people who are flexible and maybe even fun to be around, to see if they would be willing to do it. Look for those type of people. Pray some more and then listen. Listen to what the objections and concerns are when you ask somebody. What is the real reason that they're not being a teacher? Is it something you can meet? Is it somebody saying, I just don't feel prepared. I don't feel like I have the training. I don't feel like I could really offer anything. If that's the case, then let's get them in and start training them. Let's offer that opportunity to train and work with them. And maybe it's a matter of sitting down one-on-one and talking about, is it classroom management? Is it the content? What is it that is your hang up? Because if they have an excitement and they have the type of personality you want as a teacher, those are all hurdles you can come over. Get them an aide. That would be a good instance where you have somebody who's younger. Maybe there's a college age student in your congregation that would be willing, if classroom management freaks them out, have the college student come in and work with them. And just having two people rather than just one. Then pray some more. Then speak. I like this. It says, caringly assure teachers that you and the rest of the church stand behind them and are praying for them. Avoid begging and desperation. I think that is so important. It says desperation is destructive. Avoid begging in the newspaper or the newsletter, the bulletin, or other publications. Avoid using guilt, peer pressure, threats to discontinue the program, or other manipulative tactics. Don't whine or complain. Speak as positively as possible and seek positive, dedicated, enthusiastic people. Set a high standard, and God will provide those you need to fill those teaching positions. So be very careful, because I know I've been in that situation too, where it's like, oh, please, I just need somebody who can come in and work with this class. Avoid getting to that desperate point, because God has somebody in mind. It's just us finding the right person that He has and bringing them in. So pray, 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 pray. How do we get kids excited about Sunday school? I think creativity works into that, thinking outside the box. In the pictures here on the slide, our fifth grade teacher and our sixth grade teacher decided one Sunday to do what was a little off curriculum, but it was very creative. They had been talking about Jesus and it was, Passover and all that kind of stuff. I guess it wasn't so far off curriculum. They decided to do a meal of what Jesus would eat during those times. What types of foods did they eat? They did a picnic outside. They joined two or three classes together. And these two teachers did a fabulous job of getting these guys excited about the food in the Bible that they read about. So now they have a visual, they have a sensory, because they know what some of that food tasted like, and they know what it means for some of the things that they talk about during the Passover and during Jesus's time. I think it was an excellent lesson in creativity. It was great, and the kids really, really enjoyed it. Another thing that they've done is they've gone out and had them go outside and use sidewalk chalk and draw what they think heaven's going to look like on the cement. Now, they're kids, and it was fun, and they enjoyed it, and it was a chance for them to to talk about eternity and what heaven is and what the Bible says about what heaven is going to be like. But excited teachers equal excited students. How do you get them there? Use every means possible, your bulletin, your newsletter, social media. You can put, we have a Facebook page for our Sunday school, and it's awesome because they post pictures, they post announcements. Like for Easter, we didn't do Sunday school during Sunday school hour on Easter because of the youth doing the Easter breakfast. So those things are announcements that go out to most people. There's also things like Remind, which is a school-based text service. You can send math texts out. Parents just have to sign up for them. But finding ways to get the information out and even letting them know what the lesson's going to be about and what is coming up. Or if we're going to be eating food from the Bible this week, or we're going to be writing letters to servicemen this week, or we're going to be talking about Moses and the parting of the Red Sea and whatever activity you would come up with. But getting the information out there, getting the kids excited about it is, I think, key to getting the kids excited about coming to Sunday school. So you have limited resources. I think that that's pretty typical for most of us anymore in churches. And I put on here, have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened and do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And that's from Joshua 1:9. You know, it can be very daunting. It can be very frustrating. It can be very overwhelming. But you know what? God has a plan in all of it, and we can't be dismayed. We have to keep going. Some of the issues, we don't have enough teachers. Space is an issue for a lot of congregations. We're blessed that we have a school that we can use the classrooms, but a lot of churches meet in the basement of the church with those dividers, and you've got issues there with space and noise levels, or materials and cost of materials, and not enough students. What can we do? There are a lot of different things you can do. I just wrote down a few things. Something that I don't know that we're doing it here this summer, but at our former congregation, we did a VBS rotation style Sunday school where all of the kids, we never knew how many kids in the summer, especially the numbers get really low. We would do an opening with all of the kids, and then we'd split them into 3 groups, and one group would go to snack, one group would go to a craft, and one group would go to the story time. And we would just rotate them through. They'd have 15 minutes in each one of those, and there was your whole hour. And that way you could also look at mixing the kids up so that you would have older kids with younger kids. So if you don't have as many adults there, you can also, this is a great opportunity for families to come through. Mom can bring the 9-month-old baby and sit through something like that and go around and kind of be able to bounce and leave if she needs to. Dad can sit with Joey if he's a little bit nervous about staying. There's just a lot of things with the VBS rotation style, and you can do that all year round. You don't have to just do it during the summer. The other thing, I have a friend down in Oklahoma who they use for their curriculum, because they don't have a lot of resources financially. They use old VBS materials from 10 years back for the summer Sunday school, and they just rotate it through. And then that way they have something that's new to those kids because they wouldn't have been around when that VBS came through. And it's reusing materials. Now, of course, you've got the issue of if you still have those VBS materials, but talk to other congregations in your circuit, talk to other Sunday school people and ask them, what have you been using, and share back and forth. You can share props, you can share curriculum, you can any of those things. Sometimes you can even contact CPH and see if they have some of the old stuff and get it really discounted. Or look at, if you do the CPH or whatever curriculum you do use for your Sunday school, see if there's a way that you can buy in bulk and share so that you don't, because, they come in those bundles. Maybe you and another congregation can split them so that you don't have all that waste. or, flip back and forth. I know that in the 6th grade Sunday school class this last year, I'd get those leaflets out and those kids would just, oh, I don't want a leaflet. I'm too old for the leaflet. So little did they know, and hopefully none of you share this, I did everything off the leaflet, but just didn't give them the leaflet. And they thought that was great. We came up with creative ways. That was where the skits came in, the radio broadcasts, and they were none the wiser. I used the materials, but I didn't need 15 copies of that leaflet. So that's so wasteful. But if there's a way we can share and work between churches, that's going to help out too. Is there a teacher in your congregation, a synodically trained teacher that would like to write curriculum, that would be interested in taking some things and coming up with your curriculum? That's an opportunity too. You need to talk to your pastor, but that's something that you could definitely do. And extremely easy is use your weekly scripture readings and just take those. You can get those from the parish office or from your pastor the week before and use those. And that might even be an opportunity for you to provide that spiritual feeding for your teachers. If you do a week-long hour Bible study after Sunday school with the scripture readings for the next week for just the Sunday school teachers. But be creative and find out how you can utilize the resources you do have. I put at the bottom, don't lament what you don't have. Rather, work from your strengths and resources and rejoice in the blessings God has given you. Because you know what? It's real easy to get into that funk of, well, we just don't have it. We don't have anything. This is so frustrating. Try to step out of that and look for where your strengths are. What can you do? What resources are available? And work from there. It's tough, but it can be done. And here is what it's all about, is the little children that come. I don't know how many times in the years that I've worked with kids that kids have come to the church through Sunday school, and sometimes their families have followed because this little kid invited his neighbor boy to come to Sunday school. They came to Sunday school, and then they ended up being baptized and members of the church. And that's what it's all about. We need to think about the mission and ministry of our Sunday school, focus on the important stuff. And you know what? Teaching that one or two kids, the one or two students that show up, is so worth it. And you could be the only Jesus they see. You could be the only person that talks to them about Jesus. That you could be the only one that gives them any kind of a spiritual guidance. And we need to look at it because it's an important job to be a Sunday school teacher. You have those kids for an hour, 1 hour a week, and they're a captive audience, and you can do a lot with them in that hour. So try to stay focused on that. I know it's really hard sometimes because there's all the other stuff that we're bombarded with, and we can get so easily caught up in but I can't, but this won't work, or I don't have this resource, and we need to stay focused on what it's all really about. I did a non-traditional resource page. I took pictures, and these are family ministry basics. You can do it family ministry events and children's ministry facts. I have those 3 books. I love them. Family ministry events can easily be used for Sunday school events, very easily transferred over into that. A lot of the family ministry basics talk about how to get your families more involved. I think if you just have an atmosphere of, we'd love it for you to stay. And you don't know, that mom that comes with her 2nd grader could end up being a teacher in another 4 years if she feels comfortable and welcome in the classroom. So, always find ways. Our Sunday school this summer is going to do once a month breakfast during Sunday school where the whole family, and they're going to do a lesson geared toward the whole family. So I think that's awesome that we're doing that to try to encourage family involvement. The first one's going to be on Father's Day. So I don't know because I'm not on that planning committee, but I assume they're probably going to do something to celebrate the dads, which I think is pretty awesome. Blueprints for Children's Ministry is a new book from CPH, and I have not seen it yet. I have read a couple of her blogs, the author's blogs, that if you want to go on and Google, I think it's Bastian is her last name, and she has some good blogs regarding Sunday school ministry. And energizing your children's ministry, I don't know. I'm hoping it's good. It's from CPH, so I'm assuming it is. The only book on here that you cannot get from CPH is the Family Ministry Events. That I believe is that's a standard publishing book, but you can get it if you go onto Amazon, and it has some really neat ideas. But hopefully this gave you some ideas and some resources. I wish that I had a magic wand to make it all super easy and fun, but I think that with the right people and the right recruitment, and just energizing your Sunday school program so that it has some life in it is going to be the key.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Angie. This is great stuff. Folks, if you have any questions, get them in that chat feature right now, and we'll ask Angie some questions. Just a couple of maybe thoughts and questions myself. I know you had mentioned the person who talked to you about having just one or two in Sunday school. I've had some folks mention that maybe they have one or two in Sunday school, and then maybe one or two in adult Bible class. So they talked about joining those two together. Maybe your thoughts on something like that.
I think that's great. I think if you can somehow connect those two, I think, with it being minimally disruptive if possible. But yeah, I mean, throughout the Bible, it talks about the older generation training and lifting up the younger generation so that they might learn and know. It's a perfect opportunity to do that. And you can bring the stuff that's prepared for the little kids, and the older kids or the adults can help do those things. So I don't know. I think that there's definitely ways. You just have to be flexible. And I know sometimes that's hard with us Lutherans, that we don't like to be very flexible, but I think that you have to be in order to keep going.
Yeah, I agree. And what a neat way to mentor too. And just from your presentation on youth ministry a while back, where you had talked about the each youth needs to have 3 meaningful non-pastoral, non-family connections in the church. What a great way to start to foster that. Janet, yeah, you see the question from Janet in Plain City. How do you feel about summer break from Sunday school starting back up in the fall? Is this a good idea or not? Ooh, that's a loaded question. I'm going to let you handle that, Angie.
That's a very good question, and I can see both sides. I can see the opportunity for your Sunday school teachers to have kind of a break for the summer, that maybe they can get refreshed and ready to go in the fall. I think studies have shown, though, that sometimes you lose some of your Sunday school teachers after not teaching during the summer. I think it would be a good time. That's what our church is doing this summer, is to try to give the teachers a break, but we're all taking turns helping with the rotational thing this summer with the summer Sunday school, where all the kids will be together. I think the intention is, we don't know how many kids will be here because of summer vacations. Teachers go on vacation and you want them to be able to go. So I think if you can be creative but still have Sunday school, I think it's still important, because every opportunity to be in the Word is so important, especially today when we don't have the opportunities that we used to have. And some kids, that's the only time they get any kind of spiritual guidance, is during that Sunday school hour. So I don't know. I can see benefits. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not very helpful. Sorry. I can see both sides of it. I think it would depend on the culture of the congregation too. I think if you have people if it's a committed congregation that these people have been teaching for, 20 years, and they want to try doing that, maybe that would work. I don't know. I don't know. Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, from Colleen in Deschler. Do you try to teach a Bible story even on the Sundays when you're making cards, baking cookies, etc. for the nursing home? I feel the Bible story is so important, but the activity takes up a lot of time.
Yes. You don't throw out the Bible account or the lesson. Now, it doesn't mean that you do the one that's planned for that week. Maybe you talk something about service. Maybe you talk about God calling us to do for others. Maybe you talk about the Samaritan. You find ways to bridge it so that while you're doing those activities, you can be talking about whatever your lesson is. And really, honestly, when you think about your little people, they don't have much more attention span than 10 minutes. So if you can even just spend 10 minutes talking about the lesson and then go on to doing whatever your activity is. Sometimes the activity won't be all done in 1 week. If you're making cards, you start them 1 week and you finish them the next week. That's okay. Or you can even encourage them to finish it at home and take it, or however you would choose to do it. Now, when our high school youth is going to be doing the wheelchairs at the nursing home, we will be going to church. So that will be a part of it. I will probably do the processing of some of those things during the next week's Sunday school hour and talk about service and whatever is, because we have stuff that comes up a lot when you're in those situations, but that's high school kids. Little people, though, it is especially if you go to the nursing home, that's going to take up a lot of your time with the younger people. But I agree. I don't think you should throw out the lesson. I think there always needs to be a lesson in it somehow, even if it's just a short little bite. But I think that if you can connect it to whatever your activity is, that says a lot, because the kids are going to remember that activity and they're going to link it to that lesson. Does that make sense?
That's great. I think that's very good. Yeah, you don't want to shortchange anything. I think watering things down or leaving things out for the sake of fun or whatever, it's not worth it. Give them the whole thing and just figure out how you can make it work. One of the things you talked about was recruiting teachers and desperation, and I'm completely on board with that. I think that's, but maybe something else too, because we have been once or twice, you and I have been that desperation teacher where they've been panicked. They had a class that nobody could handle, and would you come and please teach this class? But they weren't asking us. Yes, they were desperate in asking us, but I think it was important they asked us to teach a class that made sense for us to teach. And I think that's something to remind folks too. If somebody, just because they've taught third grade Sunday school their entire life, doesn't mean they wouldn't be better suited to teach a different class, because the class is a different makeup of kids. So it's okay to mix things up, right?
Yeah, and I think sometimes too we have to recognize that sometimes the teachers want to change the scenery. Sometimes the teachers want to maybe do younger, or since we've been here for 4 years, I have taught sixth grade, first grade, and now I'm back in sixth grade, just because it was the needs of the school staff, where they said, we need somebody to teach first grade. And I said, okay. And we have somebody who can teach sixth grade. Okay. Well, then I switched. Well, then when they had needed somebody for sixth grade again, then I switched again. So, but that's where my gifts lied. And so that's where I had a relationship with the sixth graders, and I don't mind sixth graders. So they had somebody who liked to do first grade again. So, looking at, I don't mind jumping between the two, but you don't want to have somebody who can't stand junior high kids teaching the sixth, seventh, and eighth grade junior high class, because I don't think that's going to be very productive. But if you can find where their strengths lie, and then find, oh, well, this person's been doing first grade, but they're interested in doing high school because they think they'd like a little change of pace, hey, go for it and allow them that opportunity.
And just because a person wants to teach a certain class or desires to be a teacher doesn't necessarily mean they ought to do it.
Right. That's where the prayer comes in, and that's where you listening when you're having that conversation with them and trying to see, what exactly are they saying to me? Are they saying they want to do little people because they think it's going to be easier? Or are they saying they want to work with younger kids because that's where their gifts are? You have to kind of see where they're coming from too, because some people have a preconceived notion that first through fourth is easier than fifth through eighth. And I think that's really not very true. I think it's just a different set of challenges, and they're all wonderful challenges, but it's different, and you have to use a different skill set for each one. So I don't think one's easier or harder. It's just different.
Well, and I think something you and I talk a lot about too is give yourself permission to try things, and even if it doesn't work out as you'd hoped, that's okay. So you tried it. Try to tweak it. Try to do something a little different. You don't have to get stuck.
And along those lines, okay, so you try something and you say, okay, we're going to try something creative. You can't abandon ship if it doesn't take after one time. You have to give it, because I have found in 17 years of ministry in the Lutheran Church, it takes us a while to kind of decide, okay, well, that's not so bad after a while. Now, that doesn't mean you do it for 5 years and then you decide, no, we can't do it. But it means look at it realistically and say, okay, we advertised it. What do we need to do? Okay, should we tweak this? Do we need to get the word out? Do we need evaluation is a big part of it. I should have had that on there too. Evaluating what's working, what's not working, and going forward. But don't totally, it didn't work, nobody showed up, and it was 1 week, and then say, to heck with it, because we want to continue, because it takes us a while to know what's going on. And I'm always amazed at the number of people that will say, I didn't know that was going on. When it's been in the church bulletin, it's been on the Facebook page, it's been on, the Proclaim newsletter or whatever, and they just are kind of unaware of what's happening. So sometimes you have to count on word of mouth, and you can send notes home with kids, whatever it is. If you have a school like a Lutheran school, send stuff home through that. I've done that before for my 6th grade kids, to let them know something's coming up. But yeah, don't abandon it too soon. But at the same time, don't get so rooted in that it has to be this way. And you know what? All of these resources are fabulous, but make it your own. Make it what works in the culture of your congregation. What is going to work, and you take pieces of this and pieces of that and you make it work. Maybe your congregation is primarily a German congregation. Is there something you can pull in from your German heritage? Or is there something from if it's agricultural or whatever it is, if you're in the inner city and you have a small congregation, because I know that's an issue too. They deal with small numbers in Sunday school. What is the resource in your area that you can do? How can you reach out? How can you pull in something that's meaningful to make it work in your Sunday school or in any of your ministries that you have? It's about looking at where you are and what God has placed before you, and then kind of going with it.
Very good. Well, we are out of time for today. Thank you so much, Angie, for all this information. It's wonderful to have. I'll let you folks know this webinar will be archived on our website. So if you want to repeat it, you can check it out on our website. It'll be up in a few days. At the end of our time here, when Amy closes things out, you will actually get a link for a survey to evaluate our time for today. So please fill that evaluation out, and you will also get a link to download Angela's PowerPoint. So you will get those resource pages. Just a couple of things coming up. We continue with the last 2 sessions of our Teaching the Faith series. Adults and college and youth are coming up on June 8th. We'll have Reverend Dr. Heath Trampy, senior pastor at Faith Lutheran Church in York, Nebraska, talking about teaching the faith to adults. On July 6th, we'll have Teaching the Faith to College and Young Adults from Reverend Marcus Zill, who's the director of LCMS Campus Ministry and LCMSU. We also have, then after that, Mission Insight, getting the most out of your demographics. Kurt Furr, who's the vice president for LCEF up in Minnesota, will be talking about that on August 3rd. And events coming up, we've got Engaging the Wandering event in Chamberlain, South Dakota. That's at Zion Lutheran Church on June 10th. And don't forget, registration is open for our 2017 National Mission Conference, November 9th through the 11th. That's Standing on Our Heritage. It's still all about Jesus in Kansas City, Missouri. God's blessings to you all in your ministries. And if you ever need any help, please do not hesitate to contact our office, and I can get you in touch with Angie. So God's blessings to you. Thanks for joining us today.